Good morning. So what's going on this morning is I've just come back from walking the dog. She's all hot. We're in the marina, so we have a little bit of air conditioning on. And Pierre's getting ready to do some generator maintenance. I wanted to do a video of the day in the life, but I don't know if I can get him to sit down. So here's what's going on. Your tools out?
Yep.
And that toolbox is very heavy. And for our viewers to know, that's a watertight compartment built into the bilge. So even if we had water in the bilge, it will not go into the toolbox.
Yes.
Bon appetit.
Merci.
So yesterday your sister was saying, what do you do all day?
I don't know. All I know is that these are real short.
I thought I would just say what kind of things we do all day. So yesterday, I usually get up and practice my electronic keyboard in the morning. You're kind of looking on the web for looking at your to-do list while I'm doing that. I have my coffee while I practice.
I do my priority list in the morning while I'm still fresh.
Yeah.
I look at all the things that I have to do in all the lists, and I make a priority of what I wish, my wish list of what I could do for that one day. But most of the time, I don't end up doing more than 20% of it.
Well, tell your viewers how long your list is then.
Right now, it's still about 2 pages, and if it's down to 1 page, that means you're ready to go around the world.
And I walk the dog, and if I'm very energetic, I walk all the way up to the top of the hill, and sometimes only walk halfway up the hill. Let's go. So this is the easy part of the hill. The steeper part's just after that tank. Let's go. Just never tired of that view. Stay. And then we have breakfast. And so a typical day yesterday was we called France because we wanted to get some questions from the Watermaker. Mm-hmm. And you finished the Watermaker. You just had to reinstall or whatever. Just taking inventory today, right? And you decided you would fix the tiny leak on the water filter.
Watermaker.
Sorry. The Watermaker. I'm thinking about filter because I just looked at that dirty water. And everything is more complicated once you start taking things apart.
No, nothing is complicated with the Watermaker. It's extremely simple. But I'm trying to figure out a good way now to change this fitting and replace it with this one because that's the one that's leaking. And this is a spare one that we have. It will go back right in here. And it's not difficult, it's not easy to remove. That's what I'm working on right now. So all you do is, when you turn the knob over there in the back, you're increasing the back pressure out of this last one here. And you get
I know, but there are 3 in series. Yeah. Okay.
So just like one long one, that's all.
Okay, the same size filter inside?
Yeah, so the exactly same filter 3 times.
And we just changed the pre-filter, so, which is...
under your feet.
Under my feet there, filter. Got the end off using that trusty, what do you call that? What do you call that tool, the rubber?
Oh, that's what you use to remove filters. There. So what really came out of that conversation with France is the worst enemy of a Watermaker is fresh water. And although they recommend to flush it with fresh water, it's extremely, extremely important that we never put any back pressure on it, so that fresh water is not pushed through the membranes, because that will destroy the membrane for sure. So that's the worst enemy.
And we opened it up, and I saw some green stuff, and I put it under my dissecting microscope, which can't see things at the cellular level, but I can kind of get a gauge of how big they were, and it was clear there was some filamentous algae in there. And it was greenish, so you asked him about the algae, and he told you...
As long as it's not on the product side, on the clear water side.
Because
it's fine, but
our water's been
it's
clear.
It's not normal, but it's just because we were given the wrong filter by the factory. They put 30 microns in there as the primary filter.
And he's recommending a 5 micron.
And they say it should never be more than 5 microns. It's quite a size difference.
You were thinking about putting biocide in, and he said don't do that. So we're good. Tiller, down. Hey, while we're eating, down. Get down. She's allowed up here in rough seas. This doesn't count as rough seas. And it's hot in here. I'm gonna actually try. After the Watermaker, you went up the mast and you finished the Tricolor.
Mm-hmm.
So you went up and I hoisted you up with our electric winch.
Yeah, I had to drill a few holes. The size didn't match the previous one we had, so I had to drill a few more holes in the top of the mast and bolt that new unit securely.
And after you went up the mast, then we finished the spare parts list, and what I realized this morning, we did all the spare parts in the boat, but not in the engine room, so we didn't go over the glycol and things like that. So, but we do have a record on our computer of spare parts, with the exception of all the stuff in the engine room.
Was built.
So you're going to just verify that you have the right kind?
Yeah.
And if not, what's going to happen?
No, I just want to make sure this is compatible. I have other ones there. I just don't remember the wording on it, and this one is full, so I knew it would be more than enough because I wanted to change the whole glycol in it. There's been a couple different glycols in there, and they worked against each other, and they started a bad reaction in the engine. So I wanted to flush it and probably fill it with water first, and the RO water,
Right.
and then flush it again, and then fill it up with new glycol.
First, you're trying to find the language, and you're finding no English, only. You found French.
These are only warnings. It doesn't say what's in it, it doesn't give anything.
And that's how small it is. Unreadable. I had a Zoom call for business with some patent attorneys. While I was doing the Zoom call, you were on the computer looking at stuff.
Well, every morning, once I've done my list of things to do for the day, I go to all the emails that I've received. If there's anything urgent, download the financials for both the company and personal. Make sure there's nothing urgent and no transfers required.
Yesterday you weren't doing that when I was on my Zoom call because I came out and I'm like, where's Pierre? I looked around the boat, didn't see you. And then I went outside and I thought maybe you went off somewhere, but then I saw the passerelle was up. And there you were lying inside the dinghy. You were. I saw the passerelle was up, so I figured you had to be on the boat somewhere. So you've just installed some bolts.
Yeah, one bolt there and one on the other side, so that the motor doesn't ever falls off and it's harder to steal.
Yeah, because when we were in Galapagos, I was zipping along with the motor, and all of a sudden it fell off.
Who was driving?
Now what are you doing?
Trying to find where the shift mechanism is so very difficult.
So you're trying to find out how you can make the shift a little easier.
Yeah, it looks like that rod is bent.
And there's the fuel filter that you installed.
Yeah. By default, fuel is dirty.
Yeah, a lot
You
of
have
places.
to assume that it's dirty.
So that'll make it so the spark plugs don't have to be changed so often.
One of the things that makes it a lot harder to remove an engine from a dinghy is if it's bolted in place. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to bolt on top of having those quick release handles that you have in the front. Just having two bolts through the back wall, to hold the dinghy there. The second reason is, and Lisa, tell us about that story about Galapagos.
I was zipping back in Puerto Ayora. I was zipping back all by myself. And all of a sudden clunk, and I look behind and I see the motor sinking.
You hit a wave.
I hit a wave, and the motor, I guess after the ocean passage, we hadn't retightened the bolts enough. I hit a wave and I'm zipping forward and the motor's behind me, and I'm looking like, I can't jump in and rescue it because I'll never be able to hold it. And I just took a sighting 3 places where it was. And then I know enough Spanish to start waving at boats and saying, "Ayúdame, ayúdame." Some guys stopped. They were diving for it but couldn't find it, so I had them go back to the boat, find Pierre. You got the scuba tanks. And you put a rope where I thought it was and started doing the circles. and found it in
A
that
rope,
muddy,
a rope with a weight, a diving weight.
in that muddy pitch, well, like 1 foot visibility water. You found that motor, got it out, dried it out.
It was right in the canal going in and out of the port. So very busy place. Visibility was exactly about 6 inches at the bottom, but luckily the bottom was beautiful nice sand. But still with 6 inches of visibility, it's never that comfortable to swim in there because when you're swimming, you don't know what you're going to be facing with. So anyway, so we dropped that weight with a small float at the top of where Lisa thought, looking at her bearings, was a good location. And then I went down the tanks to the bottom and then just started doing circle. And she was following me with the dinghy, following the bubbles at the surface so that she would be close to where I was and I wouldn't be run over by a big boat. Anyway, so I would just let go maybe a feet or 2 feet, which is about the maximum span of the 6 inches visibility I had with my arms extended, and then I would do a full circle, and then I would extend another 2 feet, and then do a full circle, and then extend another 2 feet, full circle.
You found it pretty quickly.
Lo and behold, I hit my head on it. Sure enough, it was there. So tied up the rope in the float, got it up, and then we were able to haul it to the boat. Now, that's when the fun starts, because every time you get an engine underwater, especially when it's running, you have to get it running as soon as possible.
You have to get the salt water out of it.
So you have to remove the spark plug, open the carburetor, just flush everything with fresh water as much as you can, and then dry it as much as you can, and then spray everything with WD-40, and then as soon as you're sure there's no more water in it anywhere, you have to start the engine as soon as possible. And once you've started it, you have to let it run for a couple of hours for it to really warm up and melt or boil any other water that could be around. And that's, if you do that, you'll recover your engine. If you don't do that,
the engine worked perfectly ever after. We never had trouble with it.
But if you don't do that, you lose that engine. It's gone.
So that's what we did yesterday before lunch. And then I said, because I've been
but that explains
why. That explains why you did
why
that.
I also wanted to have the big bolts in there, because even if the this papillon, I don't know what the name in English is, of those things in the front, butterfly screws in front of the engine, with the bolted on, the engine will never go anywhere. So that's another added security.
So then after that, I said, you know what? We haven't eaten out for eons. So we decided we'd go up to the pool, and they have sushi there because we're in a COVID resort that the restaurant is open. That's the advantage of being in Marigot Bay. I had sushi, you had fish. And we did, while we waited for the food to cook, we did some lengths to get some exercise in. Usually we go to the gym. We were discussing at lunch getting a spinnaker because we don't have any sails that allow us to go straight downwind. So Pierre's been doing research, and you came back and you started doing more research on the spinnaker. You're doing that. I had some business emails to attend to. And, and then I also took the dog for a paddle and took her to the beach so she could have a swim for exercise in the afternoon. And then I came back and got ready for a Zoom call at 5 o'clock, which was with the Salty Dog organization that are organizing to bring boats from Chesapeake Bay to the Caribbean. It's part of a rally they do every year, and they wanted to have some information from some of the people already in the Caribbean about what it's like cruising right now with COVID. And so we had that call, and then made something quickly, just a light little thing for dinner, and we ate it while we spoke with your family on a Zoom call last night. That's our typical day. And then in the evening we relax a bit, maybe read, maybe watch some YouTube videos together. I guess back to generator and glycol. Hard to get anything done on these work days. There's always something to find, something that's needed.
We need something even smaller than this.
Me to wash it?
Okay. Probably need soap.
Yeah.
Thinking of this of all the parts we need to buy now.
Yeah, I know, and then I'll have to add it to the computer once we buy them. That's our typical day.